Good afternoon. I'm Brian Jones with the NACVA and Consultants Training Institute, headquartered in gorgeous Salt Lake City. Thank you for joining us for this YouTube Live event, where we will be discussing how to maximize and get a return on investment for your valuation credential. Joining me today is George Sandmann, who is the president of CoreValue. George has over 20 years of experience in management and executive roles across a variety of industries, including telecommunications, technology, and boutique manufacturing. He is a startup veteran with experience in business-to-business and business-to-consumer markets. In 2013, he joined CoreValue with the founder, Chuck Richards, on sales and marketing, business development, and corporate strategy. We have been in partnership with CoreValue over the last few years, also in coordination with our partner Value Source and Key Value Data. And the purpose of our conversation with George today is for those of you who hold a valuation credential, is to give you some insights into how to maximize your CVA, your valuation expertise, to leverage that into growing your business, your practice into business consulting. George, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so first question, why do customers buy CoreValue?
That's a great opening question. So they buy CoreValue for a lot of reasons. It's funny because we're a software company at our core, pardon the pun, and but there's a lot layered around it that allows someone to use the software and the training and marketing materials, the support that's placed around it, to find, win, and service new client engagements. So it's really, we describe it as a consulting practice in a box. And I think that pros are drawn to CoreValue and become customers and remain customers, which is great, because there are a variety of different tools that they can use to develop their practices, which at the end of the day is proving their value to their clients and winning new engagements.
Mm-hmm. So what professionals benefit most from your program?
You can think of the CoreValue customer base as divided into 5 groups, and they're roughly equal. So let's think of them as 20% tranches. And I'm sure that this is reflective of a lot of what you see in the NACVA membership. And there are 20% are CPAs, and they're looking to develop a business consulting practice. And they use CoreValue to go to their existing clients and identify new services that they can deliver to those clients. Similarly, we have 20% or so that are management consultants, and those management consultants are using CoreValue to standardize and scale their management consulting practices. And one of the cool things that we help management consultants do is to take a strategic plan. You know how companies have a strategic plan and it'll get stalled, it goes up. If you can see over my shoulder, let me move my head back there. Those aren't strategic plans, but everyone has 3-ring binders sitting on their shelf behind their desk, and the strategic plan gets written, a lot of energy goes into it, it goes onto a shelf because it's hard to execute. Management consultants are using CoreValue to move the strategic plan forward, to identify bottlenecks in the business, and then to provide the services, the engagements to break through those bottlenecks. And then the other 3 groups are financial advisors, who are a fairly specialized use case, but are our fastest growing sector. And financial advisors really want to help make sure that their business owning client, that their company has the value it needs to fund their long-term wealth plan, and that the company will be transferable, both of which CoreValue measures. Investment bankers, I think that use case is pretty self-evident. CoreValue helps identify the strengths and weakness in a business, and how well that business is positioned for a transaction. And then the last group is an important group. It's made up mostly of fractional CFOs. That's kind of the other bucket. It's fractional CFOs and an increasing number of sales and marketing professionals who are using CoreValue again to develop engagements.
So you mentioned CPAs, financial planners, and financial consultants, advisors. Tell me a little bit about your methodology.
Yeah, so the methodology is interesting. It's based on the premise that that strong companies are valuable companies, and that if we want to increase a company's ability to grow, to prosper, and to ultimately deliver value to its stakeholders, and I think it's important to think of stakeholders as the business owner, the senior management team, the employees, right, who help make it real every day, and the community in which they work. So the methodology recognizes that strong companies contribute well to the aims of everyone involved, and that strong companies have there are two areas that we need to look at. There are market drivers, forces working on that company from outside, and there are operational drivers that work inside the company. And so CoreValue was a methodology that was developed at MIT about 30 years ago that's based on 18 value drivers. And you should think of those value drivers as best practices that encompass the totality of a client's company operation. And in the same way, we're all familiar with GAAP, right? If I mention the company to you, Brian, you might ask me, oh, that's interesting. What do they do? What industry are they in? And how are they doing? What are they doing? Which really is code for gross revenues. We want to know what industry and their gross revenues. What that doesn't really tell us is how the company is doing internally. So even if you say they're growing year over year, that's great. We know their gross revenues are increasing, but how are they doing that? And are they doing it at the rate they should be? Are they keeping up with the market? Are they exceeding the market, lagging behind the market? So these 18 value drivers are the gears. Think of a business as an engine, and these are the gears inside the engine. And CoreValue helps evaluators analyze the strength of those gears individually and as they work with each other. For example, a strong brand may mean that a company can generate higher margins than their peers. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. It's like going to get a tune-up for your car, I guess. You go and you pull in and they do a diagnostic and you get a assessment of what needs to be fixed in your car. Similarly for a business.
That's exactly right. And what I think is powerful and what we're hearing, so we love working with you guys. And thanks for hosting me when I was out there a few weeks ago. What we're hearing from valuators is that CoreValue helps make company value actionable, right? So evaluation is a disciplined analysis in time that's as of a date certain, and it's according to standards. CoreValue, although we calculate a value, it's not a valuation. It doesn't replace a valuation. In fact, we go at pains to make the point that this is not a financial valuation. But what it is an analysis of the operational strength of the company that is related to value. So we can take a valuation, and how often, whether you're a evaluator or an M&A professional, a business broker, or some other intermediary, we're giving a value to a business owner, and they say, "Ooh, 18 million. I thought it was worth 22." What CoreValue can help you do is say, well, it could have been worth 22, but there are company-specific risks that have forced us to put some discounts in place. Let's use CoreValue to analyze the company and sort out how we mitigate those risks, how we neutralize red flag threats, and how we help you capture the entire latent growth of your business. And there's really what we're doing is positioning a company so that they can have that they're in a very strong position. If we think of it in terms of the ability to go through an audit or due diligence, that the company's in a very, very strong position vis-a-vis that type of structured spotlight.
So how is the methodology then applied by the users of your tool,
Cool.
CoreValue?
Yeah, good question. So the methodology the way we've enshrined that methodology in software is to make it so that it works the way we would work with people every day. So I happen to be an attorney by training, and the first time you sit down with a client, whether you're a CPA, an attorney, you think of your own practice, ladies and gentlemen on the line. When you sit down with a client for the first time, you're going to have an introductory conversation, a get to know you conversation. Well, the methodology is applied in three increasingly granular structures, segments, modules. And so you'd apply the methodology. The first time it's what we call discover, and you're going to ask one question on each of the 18 value drivers. And the goal of that conversation isn't to do a comprehensive analysis of the business. The goal of that conversation is to show the business owner that we're think of it as being an operational analyst, and that we know how to ask the right questions about the business, and that we understand the basics, the fundamentals of how business works. Now, based on that conversation, the ask is, is what you learned valuable? What did you learn about your business that you didn't know? Would you like to know more? And if they'd like to know more, then we build with additional questions in what we call unlock. And unlock is a deep dive analysis. So discover is a get to know you introductory conversation. It's an initial assessment of company strength and value. And that's typically done for free. Unlock is a paid engagement. Unlock is a deep dive analysis that asks an additional 3 to 10 questions on each of the 18 value drivers and generates an executable growth plan. So you can do that deep dive analysis as a service, and think of that in terms of a $5,000 to $10,000 service. And I could describe, essentially it's the analysis and then the time it takes you to think through, plan, execute, prepare, and deliver an operation strength and value report. It might be 30, 40, 50 pages that gives them a comprehensive understanding of their business. And then the methodology is refined one more step in the executable growth plan, where there are tasks. There are tasks to build strength in each of the sub drivers, and then ultimately in the value drivers themselves. So get to know, do a deep analysis, work in a long-term engagement.
So you mentioned just when you were discussing that unlock stage where you're diving into the operations, looking under the hood of this company, a general fee range for the consultants who are using this software and they're engaging with their clients. Is that a general range of fees, or how did you come to that assessment of what that would be in a consulting engagement for an analyst using this with their clients?
Terrific question. So most of what we share back out, so for example, and that is what we're hearing from our customers, from your members, from your colleagues. And what we're hearing is that, obviously Discover is by and large delivered for free. The deep dive analysis takes approximately 2 hours to complete, and leads to the ability to generate a really targeted proposal, right? So you're able to target your proposal based on projected ROI for your services. So we can close $1 million of the value gap by doing these 5 things, and I will charge you, $1 million. I should charge you $100,000, right? But I'm going to charge you $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. The operational strength and value report that you can generate once you've completed the 2-hour deep dive analysis, that is being sold as a service for between $4,500 and $10,000. And those are values that we're hearing back from the market. So we don't have, we are arm's length. The ultimate customer is the advisor's client, your client. And we're hearing back that clients are willing to pay that, that's the value that clients are willing to put on that report. So
can you briefly discuss, particularly for those who are joining who understand value or likely hold a valuation certification, can you quickly just hit what those 18 value drivers are?
Sure. So
test of memory here.
Exactly. This is a memory test. I won't hit them all, but I'll give you some examples. So on the market drivers, we're going to look at how is the company growing compared to its peers and compared to the market, right? So how most business owners are looking in the mirror and they're judging themselves in the mirror? We're growing month over month. We're growing quarter over quarter, year over year, and it's always in the context of our own growth. And maybe in the growth of the economy, perhaps we're members of a professional association, the Association of Manufacturers, and we know that our peers are relating that they're growing at 5.4. But generally speaking, we don't have targeted data on growth. Do we have is the company? Now think of companies from an acquirer's perspective, because that's the way the market's going to view them. So these 9 market drivers, are you growing compared to your peers? Or do you operate in a large market? Do you have dominant market share? Are you able to generate recurring revenues, right? If we can help our clients generate recurring revenues, it's the Gordian knot, right? We can get them to look up from their day-to-day. We can reduce their stress. What are the biggest stresses me take a step back. Most business owners, if you sit down and say, "Hi, I'm George Sandmann, and I'm going to help you increase the value of your business," they don't. There's a disconnect there, because that is not an issue that has any immediacy, any currency for them. If you say, "Hey, my name's George, and did you know that I use a methodology that can help the average company, that in fact has helped the average company increase their gross revenues by over 20%? Do you have time to talk?" That's a very different way of presenting the same problem. And by analyzing these 9 market drivers, these are the kinds of things, like, for example, recurring revenue. The business owner is worried about what, in fact, Dave Fine was in your offices today. Dave Fine calls the fires in the lobby. I'm pointing towards our lobby. He calls the fires in the lobby, right? Can I make payroll? How do I get the company's line of credit off of my home? How do I sleep at night? How do I take a vacation? I'm speaking from personal experience running companies. There was a 5-year period when I didn't take a vacation. Now, I took my kids to the beach for long weekends and stuff, but that's frankly kind of pathetic, and it's inexcusable in hindsight. How do we help our business owners have a better work-life balance, better understand their companies, better be able to understand how to grow their company, literally mechanically how to grow their companies? So when we shift over to operations, you want to help someone grow. Do you have a sales and marketing process, or do you just have good, sales and marketing people? You need to, because the only way to scale that growth is to have a process that you can then put in the hands of 1, 5, 50 salespeople. Can operations meet those promises to the market? Do you have a good senior management team? Does your senior management team understand their job? Are they being held accountable for doing their job? And you've seen this. You've been in the market for a long time. It's common in a senior team that maybe I'll start doing some of your job. Maybe I'm out sick for a while, or I go on a prolonged, work trip, and you start doing some of my job, and I come back, and we start blurring lines. Never mind internecine strife inside the company. So the software helps you to analyze and report back. This is the important part. The analysis is mildly interesting. It's you as the operational analyst reporting to the business owner. Here's where you're strong. Here's where you're weak. Here's why. Here's your score. And Madam CEO, the impact that it's having on your ability to fund your personal long-term wealth plan. So that's what this comes down to.
Yeah, so you can see through this tool, and the advisors can tell the business owner, this is how you're benchmarking with companies like yours. And basically, through the software, here's a roadmap through these drivers that I can guide you as a business owner as to improving the value of your company.
That is spot on. That's a great description, Brian.
So why is this a really good fit then for someone who holds a certification in business valuation?
So what I'd actually turn that around and echo back to you what we're hearing from our work with NACFA members. And that is valuations are sometimes, not always, but sometimes a one engagement deal. So how do we take this relationship? We've met the person, they've hired us, we've done great work, we've delivered what they need. How do we then take that relationship and turn it into other engagements within that client? How do we turn that into potentially referrals to other clients? And by using CoreValue, if you think about this 10-minute, you think about your time with a CEO. If you had the opportunity in 10 minutes to have a completely unique conversation with them, and a conversation through which you could give them really powerful insights into their company, wouldn't you take those 10 minutes? Wouldn't you take that opportunity? I mean, that would be great, right? To show them that you not only understand how to value a company, but that you understand behind the scenes how a company works and what the best practices are. And that's what CoreValue helps evaluators do, to diversify the range of services that they're delivering into that business owner. So, that is one of the key use cases. And we're a big, we train on, you already have clients. Clients are hard to win. Pick up the phone and call the clients you have and try to engage them for additional services. And engage, Services, by the way, for which the software predicts the return on investment. You have a $5.4 million value gap. I can help you understand why that is and how to neutralize it.
Right, and then building that value of their company obviously could help play into a future event like a succession plan or an exit plan or a merger or an acquisition of another company. This fundamental understanding of growing the company's value is just key generally for the health of a business who wants to just grow and not necessarily maintain, but grow, but for a future event.
You're absolutely right. And what I have a love-hate relationship with the term exit planning because it describes the event very well, but I think it's a term that has some marketing challenges around it. But you're absolutely right. When we're talking about helping a business owner think of the future, it's hard for them to think in terms of value. One of the first questions you'll ask when you're using the Discover with a business owner is, are your personal financial plan and business financial plan headed to the same point on the horizon? Because if I need $10 million to retire, that's the number that's, I see in articles pretty often. If I can only make my company worth 5, there's a personal value gap there, right? I need to figure out how to make the company twice as valuable to fund my retirement. So, this is a great way. This is a great way to diversify the conversation you're having, and then think of yourself as acting as the architect. So the architect creates the plan. Then there's the general contractor, which is synonymous with the operational analyst. And that general contractor takes the plan and starts putting it to action. And valuators have great networks. They're typically seasoned professionals, experienced professionals who can act as that operational analyst, measure the company and say, here's some areas. Let's say I'm a CPA. I can help you build better financial processes. And oh, by the way, I know Brian, and Brian is terrific at HR. And, I know that it's hard to get the people you need to grow your business. Let's talk to Brian about getting the right talent in here. And, and to start managing, being the person who helps the CEO. CEOs have a 40, 50, 60 hour a week job already. If we can act as their peer and help them better their business, make their business easier to run, help them to create higher revenues, then we're in a really good position. And you think about the life cycle of a business, it's not a bad thing, especially in the demographic we're talking about, to be one of the most trusted advisors in these businesses.
Well, for those of you watching, it's been very good information here from George, but we've got some training, complimentary training actually, coming up through the end of this year that we hope you take advantage of if you're interested in learning more about increasing the value of your CVA and growing your practice into business consulting. If you go to nacva.com/CoreValue, you can see that we have live training scheduled in November in San Diego. We also have live training scheduled in Fort Lauderdale in December and some live webinars coming up. You can actually attend these webinars at no cost, and these live trainings at no cost. If you're interested in learning more about this, you can also contact our member client services department here at NACVA by dialing 800-677-2009. But certainly nacva.com/CoreValue will get this information to you as well. So to summarize, George, what would be your quick synopsis on why a valuation analyst or anyone actually watching today would follow up to learn more about CoreValue for the purpose of benefiting and growing their practice?
What I would tell you is that this is a proven system to help you find, win, and service engagements. And those, you hear me pausing on those words, but we really want to help you identify opportunities to deliver your expertise into clients, show the clients why that's the important word, right? Why they should hire you, and then to deliver, right? To do what you've promised to do and to help them understand their company, increase their operational strength. And I can tell you the data proves it again and again. Their companies will start to pop. Their gross revenues will increase. You will have really happy clients. Let me give I love teaching the 2-day class that we're about to do out in San Diego. It's called a boot camp. Ladies and gentlemen, it is terrific. It's 2 days well spent. I think it got quite good ratings the last time we put it on. It's built around a single case, and we drill down. A veteran advisor and I drill down on a single case and really start from that first conversation with a client and work through marketing your practice over the course of 2 days. And it is really fun. It's a conversation. It's time well spent. I love doing that class.
That's a great point, just to capitalize on that, in that it's not just training these advisors on how to advise these companies to grow value, but part of the process is the individuals who are involved with CoreValue get coached and trained on the marketing aspect, how to sell this service.
That's correct. That's right. That's exactly right, Brian. Yeah, we do. If all of the training we deliver, whether it's the onboarding, the Build a Thriving Practice training that we put on, the boot camp, all of that includes how to use the software, and then how to market the fact that you have this methodology, and not from the perspective of, hi, I'm Brian Jones and I have CoreValue, why don't we meet? Because that doesn't say anything. It puts you in the position as a business advisor of saying, I use a methodology that it was born at MIT. And in fact, did you know that the average company can't capture 27% of its value? When I apply this methodology with companies, the companies that have been through the process, committed to it, see their gross revenues increase by double digits. Do you have a plan to increase your revenues? It puts you in that position. And so it's very different, and it's really powerful training.
Well, thanks, George. And thank all of you for joining us for this online event. Again, for more details on the training schedule the rest of this year, and for also more in depth on the software and methodology itself, you can go to nacva.com/CoreValue. And thank you, George, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Brian. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Okay, take care, everyone. Have a great day.